and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora, we cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news, is here.
A very good evening. You're watching our very special show on Canada elections, and Canada decides. Over the course of the next 1 hour, we will get you all that is mattering in the Canadian elections as voting starts. I'm Gauri Dwivedi, but first up, the headlines. High stakes battle opens as the polls across Canada open. Voters head to ballots in polls that may have been overturned by US President Donald Trump. Final set of opinion polls project narrow Liberal victory. Liberals hold a 4-point lead in the latest polls. Will Carney secure a victory, a record fourth-term victory for Liberal Party? We find out. Suspect in the Vancouver attack charged with 8 counts of murder. Suspect charged after Vancouver attack killed 11. Will that impact pockets of Vancouver in terms of voter turnout? We find out. The first polls have opened in Canada, in Newfoundland and parts of Labrador. Prince Edward Island, there are 4 seats that are up for grabs and several others as well. And what happens next going forward is what we are going to find out. There are, New Brunswick has 10 and in Nova Scotia there are 11 seats. The next set of polling stations will open in just under 2 hours, with people in Ontario, Quebec and others stretching all the way to British Columbia getting ready to vote. Remember, British Columbia will actually continue to vote till the end, even as other parts of Canada will shut when it comes to voting and will await results. Canada is the world's second largest country in terms of land, and which is why the entire exercise also is spread across different time zones. All right, let's quickly now show you all that matters in this election. Before I get in, Maha Siddiqui, my colleague, joining me live from Canada, I want to quickly put out details with regard to what are the key factors in this election that matter. And then we, of course, get you who's who in this election, which are the primary candidates, the people who will, one of the candidates who is set to be the next Prime Minister of Canada, whether it will be Mark Carney or whether it is going to be Pierre. Poilievre. We're going to get that. But first up, let's quickly get in some graphic points to talk more about what are the aspects that the election will be decided upon. I believe I have Vikram Chaudhary joining me live from Brampton to talk more about what he's picking up on ground. Vikram, what's the mood like in Brampton? Talk to us. Have you been able to speak to some voters, the issues on which they will actually be deciding this election on?
It's going to be very close this time, that's for sure. The mood and the sentiment is quite divided, and things were very clear. If you would have asked me this question about 3 months ago, the mood was very clear. That was the time when people were for change. But now, ever since Mark Carney, he took over as the Prime Minister of Canada, which was in May 1st week, after that, things have changed a lot. And Before that, they were the real local issues that people were more talking about, like crime, inflation, the cost of living, immigration. Those were the local issues. The tone was very different. But ever since the rhetoric, the tariffs, the Trump tariffs kicked in, the mood and perhaps the issues, other issues took a back seat, back burner. And today, what everybody is more concerned about is the Trump tariffs, the economy, and looking forward, who perhaps would be the best candidate to take on Trump and the 51 state rhetoric, which is coming from across the border. So that's the real issue. And the entire campaign took a new turn, and they were trying to project, both the leaders they were trying to project as who is best suited to take on and perhaps negotiate a better deal with the US. So what I can tell you right now, Mark Carney has little edge as it has been projected in media and some exit polls and opinion polls. They've been trying to suggest that Mark Carney has a little bit of edge, but it's too close a call to suggest whosoever has the edge right now. But looks like Mark Carney has the edge, and Pierre perhaps was clearly a leader. If you talk about these opinion polls and projections 3 months ago, around about December of 2024, Pierre was clear leader. But things have changed.
Things have changed, absolutely.
What many suggest that...
Yeah, things have changed sharply, and as you rightly pointed out, that it is Donald Trump effect, where Mark Carney, whose ratings, and in fact the Liberal Party's ratings, which had plummeted to early 20s, is now probably at record high of early 40s. That's been the kind of change that has happened in the sentiment. Vikram, I want to quickly tell our viewers the constituencies from where Mark Carney and Pierre Poilievre will be contesting from, because that's important. Either one of them is likely to be the next Prime Minister of Canada. If they, of course, don't get past the halfway mark, then they may need to take the help of some of the smaller parties. Stay with me, Vikram. I want to quickly tell the viewers that Mark Carney is contesting from Nepean's seat, which is an area in Ottawa, of course, Ontario. This will be the first time that the Prime Minister will be contesting for an election. He's 60 years of age. The first time his name is on the ballot is now. Will he bring the Liberals back for a fourth term is the key question. As for Pierre Poilievre, he is contesting from Carleton, which is a rural area of Ottawa, and they have nearly 44,000 votes were cast, which is 40% of the riding's voters. Ridings is what they are called there. 40% of them happened during early voting. 71,000 people total voted in Carleton in 2021, with some 31,000 doing so in advance. So that 31,000 figure has become 44,000 this time around, which is why it's important to tell our viewers. Then, of course, the competition for both the men primarily is from the other main party, which is for Conservative, it is the Liberals, and for Liberal, it is the Conservative. They are primarily the other main opposition party, with some of the other smaller parties likely to be wiped out in this election. Vikram, let me now ask you the main issue on which you think this election is actually being contested on. We're talking about Trump, but it's essentially the Canadian identity, isn't it? That Canadians are now voting primarily because they feel that the Trump administration has been making a threat or coming down heavily on the Canadian identity.
Canadian identity, of course, is a major issue, but there's one more issue which is related to it. US was a major trading partner for Canada. Lots of goods from Canada go to US, and the industry and the economy is dependent upon US's economy as well. And they were the closest allies. If you look back into history, Canada and US were very close allies, and auto sector was a major component of the trade, where parts would get manufactured in Canada, go back to US, where they would fit it into an engine, come back to Canada, and they would put it into car, and then it will get sold in US, and then vice versa. There were many cars which were coming from US. But the problem here is it's Canadian identity, and also what many Canadians believe that backstabbed. They've been backstabbed by US Donald Trump. So it's economy and identity which has clearly taken the main focus here in Canadian politics, the federal politics. So, because provincial politics is different here in Canada. And if you talk about federal politics, there are two tiers of political systems in Canada. But right now, when you have to negotiate or perhaps talk to your largest trading partner, of course, they'll be looking at leader who can do that. Right now, the priorities have changed. In December, the issues were different, but ever since Donald Trump has come over and he's talked about taking over Canada as 51 state, and then also the Trump tariffs. So issues have really changed right now. It's a question of survival for Canada.
It's a question of survival for Canada, Vikram. I want to quickly tell our viewers that the early election polling data that has come in, it's been record high early voting took place. Remember, that is something that happened before today. Right now, polls have opened, election has started. People can now queue up and go and exercise their franchise, go and elect whoever they feel should be the next Prime Minister of Canada. Canada has the first past the post format, exactly like what the UK has or what India has. Having said that, the early election trends that I want to quickly tell, 7.3 million electors voted, which is a 25% increase from 2021. And I'm going to come back and ask Vikram and some of the other guests as to the significance of more people voting online this time as compared to 2021, which was a COVID year election. Second, highest early voting actually took place in Ontario, and the highest early voting in the riding took place in Carleton, which is where Pierre Poilievre is actually contesting from. Or on that note, I want to quickly play out this report, viewers, that really tells and sets the context for why this election is so important for Canada, for the world, and for India as well. Take a look at this report.
With the nation at political crossroads and an election that could redefine its future, Canadians are all set to head to the polls to elect which party will lead their government and take the nation forward. On April 28th, Canadians will cast their votes in perhaps the most pivotal election in recent history. With the economy faltering, tension with the US escalating, and the resignation of a former Prime Minister still echoing, the country faces a moment of reckoning. Five main parties are in the race: the Liberal Party, the Conservatives, the New Democratic Party, the Sovereignist Bloc Québécois, and the Green Party. But at the heart of the battle, it's a showdown between the Liberals and the Conservatives. Carney, a former central banker, aims to distance himself from Trudeau's legacy while still advocating for core Liberal policies. But his short stint as Prime Minister leaves his political identity still somewhat undefined. Conservative leader Pierre is capitalizing on nearly a decade of Liberal dissatisfaction. His message is clear and relentless. After 9 years of Liberal rule, it's time for change. Poilievre is channeling voter frustration into momentum, zeroing in on the daily struggles of Canadians, from immigration concerns and rising crime to the crushing cost of living. Adding fuel to the fire is an increasingly hostile trade war with the US. Trump's repeated threats, including calls to make Canada the 51st US state, has intensified tension and turned foreign policy into a central election issue. For India, the Canadian election comes in the shadow of strained ties due to Trudeau's policies that promoted and sheltered Khalistanis. Will a new Prime Minister mean a new chapter in Delhi-Ottawa ties? Remains to be seen. Bureau Report, NDTV World.
All right, I'm going to slip into a very short break, come back on the other side, talk more about the Canadian elections, the impact and the big questions that we always pose. Stay with us.
Love that. I think that there's something that's always there that I just need to uncover. Like, I know I'm gonna get there, but I have to be patient with myself. That's probably the scary part for me. And it's okay, like, if you completely pivot and change. You know, you have to be comfortable with that.
Just going for a break.
I want to break free.
Oh, hey, just a minute. I'm just going for a break.
God knows I want to break free. But life still goes on.
Have a break. Have a Kit Kat.
At Green Flag, we don't just save motorists at the roadside, we'll also save you money by halving your AA or RAC renewal when you get our most similar UK vehicle cover. If it isn't half your original renewal price, let us know and we'll pay you the difference. Green Flag's got you. Search Green Flag.
In People's Postcode Lottery's May draws, you could win a share of £15.6 million. For the chance to win, sign up before midnight on the 30th of April.
It feels good knowing that your future's in hand. EFLO can offer you a loan from £1,000 to £15,000.